Welcome back to the Never Board of Trade podcast. This is episode 10. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Jaipaul. VJ once again is on assignment this week, so we're really lucky to be joined by one of our amazing co-workers at the Brampton Board of Trade, Sonia D'Alimonte, who is our, I don't even know your title fully, Manager of Events and Member Engagement?
Community Network.
There you go. I was so close. So welcome back to the Never Board of Trade podcast, brought to you by the Brampton Board of Trade, as well as our amazing sponsors, the Brampton Honey Badgers. And we're super excited to have Sonia with us today, who, it doesn't matter what her title is, does some amazing stuff at the Brampton Board of Trade. And we're here to talk a little bit about what that looks like, what motivates Sonia to do the work that she does, and how we can get our members and you, our listeners, more involved in some of the amazing things you're doing as far as bringing events and ways for our members to engage here at the Board of Trade.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm
Sonia's
excited.
a talker, but we're going to have to get it out of her, I think.
Yeah.
Is what we're doing. So why don't we start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, because as we were talking about before we started the podcast, you have not had the most traditional route to where you're at.
Right.
You are, let's call you an event planner by now. I don't know if that's what you'd call yourself.
Yes,
So what would you think of your job? And but how did you get here?
Okay. So I've always been a creative free spirit, but also very logistical and kind of like logistic brained or I use both left and right side of my brain, if you will. I went to college for photography initially, but I graduated on that cusp of when digital started to take off. And I'm a purist and I liked the negative world, so it didn't work out.
Not enough dark rooms for you anymore.
No. So then I ended up getting into the wedding industry.
Okay.
So I actually started my career in weddings and social events as an event planner, but also event designer.
Yeah.
And I did flowers, decor. I even owned a flower shop at one point.
Right.
And then transitioned in order to raise my family into interior design and showroom sales. So I was in that industry for a while. And then COVID happened, and I spent some years at home wrangling kids and facilitating online learning.
Sure.
Which requires a lot of logistics and creativity.
Yes, and patience.
And then the opportunity came up to join the Brampton Board of Trade. Yeah. So I applied, and here I am.
And it's been almost 2 years now. I think it's 2 years at the end of this month.
Yeah, Monday.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
And it sounds like this job brings together, like I always like to point out when people's career path piece, because I know among the folks that we connect with through the work that we do are folks who are looking for work, not just businesses themselves. And I often get asked, I know you sometimes get asked as well, how to help people find their way through their career, help them find that first job. We're in a community with lots of newcomers often who have experiences that are diverse and who don't find work opportunities that directly align with what they may have done back home when they come to Canada. And the conversation I always have, I have a similar story to yours. And I always like to tell the story around skills and experience and finding what you're good at and recognizing that that can be applied in lots of different places. And it sounds like you have one of those stories where what I hear, logistics, creativity, a visual eye, working with people, managing demanding individuals, whether they be little, and now demanding individuals who wear suits. But coming together in lots of interesting ways to do what you're doing here at the Board of Trade. Right? And so I think your job is really the culmination of a lot of the things you've done up until this point. Yeah,
it's definitely a lot of transferable skills and identifying that. It's also being transparent and just saying, this is a new industry, but like I want to learn everything about it and I want to jump in and do something. And that's actually helped me move from industry to industry. Is just saying, I'm new to this, but I know I can do it.
Right, and you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Jaipaul again. I just want to take one more moment to thank the Brampton Honey Badgers for their amazing support for our podcast on a week-by-week basis. And I want to encourage you to go out and support them. They are. We have 3 home games left this season on the 11th, 25th, and 27th of July. This podcast should be coming out on the 11th, so there's still time tonight. hopefully for you to get out there and enjoy a game. The Badgers are fighting for their lives right now, trying to get that last playoff spot in the East, and they could use all the help they could get from our great hometown crowd. So if you have an opportunity, go out to the CAA Center. Tickets are very affordably priced. They do a great in-game product. You can have dinner there with your family and have some snacks and enjoy some great entertainment here in the community. So thank you to the Honey Badgers for your support, and please go out and support the Honey Badgers when you can. Thanks very much. And I think, so maybe let's talk a little bit what you do now, because I think events in a lot of ways are what you just described, but like on a weekly basis, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people who know the organization, the Board of Trade, or have gotten to get to know us over the last little while, in particular, when you've been responsible for this role, they get to know us through events.
Yeah.
And we do lots of stuff here, and we do other podcasts where we get people behind the scenes and get them to learn more about what we do. VJ and I talk a lot about, obviously, the advocacy side, and there are other aspects of the business. But for most people, the first impression they get of the Board of Trade is the event. Right. And when people give us feedback about the Board of Trade, it's always about one of two things generally: the energy that we give out and the community that we create, which to me always, again, comes back to the events. Yeah. So what you do here is so vital and really sets the tone for how people interact with the organization. I'd love to take a few minutes today just to give people an opportunity to understand what goes into that. Right. Because we see the final product. We get to see the important person on stage. We get to have the meal. We get to do the whatever. We get to shake the hands of the new people we meet. Yeah. A lot of parts go into that. And I want people to get an appreciation for how much thoughtfulness you put into it and really how an event comes to be. Yeah. So maybe as a starting point, we're driven by input our members give us. These are the priorities we have. We want to work on congestion or affordability. We'd like to see such and such important person come to town because there's a pressing business topic around tariffs or whatever the case may be. Why don't we start there? We have a priority at the Board of Trade. This is something our members want to do. How does that turn into an event?
Well, it always starts with us in a room throwing ideas around. Yeah. And I always laugh because I feel like I have a face when you guys are throwing ideas at me, and you can see like the cranks turning to try and figure out how do I plan this out so that way it is a memorable experience for the people who are going to attend. Right. So the logistics side is always like, okay, if you have ideas for content, how can I make it so it flows consistently and flows well throughout the day? But then also too, how do guests come and have their moments and their experience in the event, and kind of try and bring the logistics and the creative sides together.
Expand on that a little bit, because when you're talking about like moments and experience, I think this is really important. We're in an industry where lots of folks do events. Yeah. And I'm sure the people who listen to this podcast oftentimes are people in businesses. They get invited to lots of events. Community leaders get invited to lots of events. I am very comfortable saying we do awesome events at the Brampton Board of Trade. Okay. Thank you. Your review's coming up soon, right? But I think there's a reason for that. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. But I think one of the key reasons is that thing you talked about, and that's the thinking about the experience that you want that individual to have. Talk a little bit more about what that looks like to you. What do you mean by experience in the eyes of the attendee? So I want people to essentially, the moment they step into the event, to feel like they're part of it. Yeah. Whether that's greeted nicely at the table, and at this point now, I've met so many people that I remember their face, I remember their name. So just the simple motion of picking out their name tag before they even hit the table and pass it to them, like that's a moment created that people feel like I'm part of something. Yeah. And then also the ability to create space and room within the event that people can converse and expand on their networks and community. And then also not to feel like they're just a person that needs to sit in a chair and like listen or move to the next. Right. Ensuring that the agenda is built in so that way everyone feels like everything is flowing organically. Yeah. Also makes the event. No. And then obviously like creative things like atmosphere and conversation and content. Yeah. Making sure that everyone has the ability to interact with each other, but also get the information that they need, have it even as like a digital program, should they want to know what's happening next in the event. All of those things kind of
are the puzzle pieces.
And there's a lot of perspectives you have to balance out there then. So just to break it down a little bit. So what I'm hearing now is you've got the perspective of the attendee and making sure they have an experience.
Yeah.
You have the perspective that you have to consider of the organization.
Right.
What is it that we're looking to accomplish in terms of the content we're looking to deliver? You have the perspective of the content provider.
Yes.
So whether that be our
Speakers.
VIP, our guest, or speaker, whomever that may be, sometimes it can be one of our local businesses. A couple of weeks ago, we hosted the premiere.
Correct.
It could be anyone along that continuum.
Yeah.
And then we have sponsors.
Yes.
And one of the things we have to do at every one of these events, and we get to do, the privilege is to thank those sponsors who help make those events possible.
Yeah.
So at minimum, you have four entities' perspectives.
Yes.
You have to consider.
Yeah.
How do you balance all those pieces out?
Really, you just have to look at it from the frame of mind of customer service and concierge, if you will, right? You just need to make sure that everyone feels like their needs are being met and their ideas are being heard. And then you do your best to enact everything to the best of your capabilities and logistics and vendors and all of that stuff. Yeah. So a lot of it is just ideating, listening, and figuring out, okay, how can I make this happen? Yeah. And then just being extremely meticulous and organized. A lot of deadlines.
Yeah.
that I have to hold a lot of people to.
Yeah.
But essentially, once all of that kind of comes together and is like a synergy, then the event is the event and everyone enjoys themselves.
Hopefully. And I think so far that's very much been the case. But I think you're doing a great job of walking people through. What I want to emphasize to anyone who's listening to this or watching this, you are making something sound very direct and straightforward that in fact is very complex and has a lot of moving parts. So you're being, I think, a little bit modest here, and I just want to shine a light on.
Yes.
So when we talk about hearing people, listening to people, making sure everyone's needs are met, concierge, 100%.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that those listenings come with a lot of input. Yeah. And that's everything from guests who want to be in certain places, who may, at the very last minute, be changing where they want to sit, who's coming, who's representing the organization. From an organizational perspective, it can mean changes in terms of where the venue is going to happen, how it's going to happen, timings, etc. When it comes to content, we've had speakers change on us at the last moment. Right. They sometimes come with very unique needs that need to be met to satisfy them being there. We've had content change. We've had panelists drop out at the very last moment. Yeah. These are lots of moving parts happening here. Yeah. And then sponsors who are making these events happen often have very specific ways in which they want to be presented. Yes. That also present challenges. Sometimes they're really creative, and you talked about being left side, right side. Yeah. They allow you to tap into that right side. Yeah. But you always have to balance out that left side where here's the list of things that need to happen. Yes. And then you layer on top that last piece you said. It all has to happen on timeline because the train's leaving the station at a certain point. Right. And we all have to be on the train at the same time. Exactly. With our tickets and bags is really, really hard. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of work and a lot of hours at the end of the day. And I always try and remind everybody that, if you're in project management or whatever, maybe you can extend a project by a week because you just couldn't get to something in time. But I have a hard stop and that's the event day. Even NASA gets to move back to shuttle launch, but a Board of Trade event starts when a Board of Trade event starts. Yeah. So I have to make sure that all the pieces are in play and ready to go. So this sounds like a lot of stress. I'm sure you talked a little bit about, these start with the team meeting internally. Yeah. And that is always, as you described, it's just like people throwing stuff at the wall. Yeah. We're going to do this event. Here's what we think it could look like. Vijay and I might bring the perspective of here's the big political idea we want to have. Yeah. You're thinking about it from the perspective of, okay, how can we make this fun and engaging? I'm often bringing up, how do we make this event, to be blunt, financially viable? How can we pull this off in a way that we have enough folks attending it and sponsoring it that it works for us. Yep. And then everyone else on the team has to put in their 2 cents because they often have to execute on some of these ideas, whether it's Josh figuring out how we promote it, or Jen figuring out how we're going to actually execute alongside every other thing we're doing in the business that day to make things work. So there's so many pieces to this. Mm-hmm. Why do you do this work? Because this sounds like the hardest job in the world.
I just love it.
What do you love about it?
I love smiles on people's faces. Yeah. I love knowing that behind the scenes, I've created a moment in time for people that they can walk away and be like, wow, like I got to meet so-and-so, or I got to, you know, connect with this particular business that I've been hoping to connect with. I got to collaborate. I got to partner. I got to sit on a panel and be a speaker and share my expertise with a group of people who want to listen.
Yeah.
You know, all of those things. I got to create, you know, like decor and a mood. So many things. I got to promote artists who want to, you know, get themselves recognized amongst the community. There's just so many things and different people coming from different places and different facets. And I've now curated a day and time where they all get to intersect and meet.
And that's like such an important thing now, right? Because like this is the thing I love about events. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about it, is we don't get enough of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a digital world now.
Right.
And people's interactions are often through a screen.
Yep.
And through a screen sometimes mean even faceless through a screen. It's a text, it's a whatever. And I think there's something so fundamental and human and important about the opportunity to look someone in the face, shake a hand, have a conversation, pass them something across the table as you share a meal.
Yeah.
And I think something much more visceral happens at these events that's like incredibly human and incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And there's not enough of anymore. And I love like how do we, so I think it's so important that we create these events that have all this impact.
Yeah.
And we check the boxes of here's what we're trying to do. Here's the conversation we're trying to have. Here's the very important political moment of the day.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like what makes these events special is we're giving something, I think, to people. I mean, I don't want to like wax too poetic, but I feel like people leave our events, or when they leave our events, and when we do them well, I want them to feel nourished in some way.
Yeah.
That I don't know that people even understand how much they need that nourishment until they're at an event.
I mean, like basic human connection is just being face to face and conversing, right? So being able to create a space for that, but for the business community, is really important because, as you said, a lot of business function now is just virtual meetings and emails, or like you're just on the go.
And I think even beyond business function, like life is you know, outside of your family unit, how much of your interactions, even with your extended family, your neighbors, is just like I'll send a text, right? I'll do an update on my social media, and I trust people will like it, and that's how I know, like, you know, my message got out there. That's where I get my validation, And I don't think people even realize how much they need it. Like when I think about how much growth we've seen on the event side of our business the past year, part of it's because we create these amazing events, but I think it's because we create these amazing events that people need in a way. I don't think they even realize how much they need it. Yeah.
And I like to even say, like, even beyond just creating an environment where people can meet, when we have events that are like assigned seating and whatnot, I'll actually go to the point where I'm curating the table assignments. So I'm researching everyone's businesses and positions and trying to ensure that there's synergies amongst the people that I'm actually placing together at a table.
You're super good at online creeping people. Like it's like your real skill is you can be one of those like cold case detectives in your next career where you're just
I know where you were in 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, you're surprisingly good at finding things out about people online.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not. I don't creep anybody. I just check your LinkedIn profile.
But it's great. But we hear it all the time, right? Like, oh, I made this amazing connection. Oh, I was so happy I sat at this table. Like, yeah, that didn't happen by accident.
Right.
I know you know.
I mean, it would be amazing if it's a happy accident, but I do spend many hours putting together those
I would say
tables.
easily the like you're planning a wedding for our members at least once a month, right? Like where you're spending at least 2 or 3 days just slaving over a seating chart, trying to figure out how to get everyone seated just right.
Yeah, and I hope that people are able to distinguish the difference. Like I come from the social and wedding planning industry. I spent a decade doing that. So human connection is really important to me. Mm-hmm. So to be able to take that aspect and insert it into a corporate environment, I hope it has kind of that different feel to it.
I think so. I mean, I think we're hearing it does.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to figure out is like, what is it so that we can duplicate it, maintain it, and hopefully grow it. Yeah. And it's so hard to quantify what that looks like. Like how do you know when an event is working well?
when I look around the room and I see people talking with smiles on their faces, that's my only indicator.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's enough.
It's enough,
right?
Yeah. And very often at events, especially now as I'm like, people are starting to recognize me more and more over the years, I'll have people come right up to me and express like, thank you for putting me at that table. It was amazing. Or like the event ran perfectly. So they're willing to come up to me and express their feedback. So I appreciate that. But I also want to iterate too that like I am a person who always wants to learn and continue to innovate, especially with events and interactions. So I'm open to constructive criticism or ideas on ways to do things bigger, better, bolder.
And what do you think that looks like? Like whether that be in the context of what we were talking about earlier, where how we continue to fight against things becoming digital,
right?
Or just how do we create more fun in something that we're already doing? Like what would you love to do if we didn't have to worry about budget, if we didn't have to worry about, some of these logistical constraints? Like how big would you want to be able to make things?
Oh my God. Like I wish that
just so I know, I'll start making notes now, setting budget aside.
I mean, like for our galas, for example, like I wish that I had the opportunity to integrate more of like that party feel to it. Almost remove that like corporate dynamic and just make it completely celebratory where we have like an after party, dancing, all of that stuff. Like I would love to be able to get to that point as well. For our networking stuff, I would love to be able to find more ways to really activate the crowd. So that way they feel like not only are they participating in networking and community building, but they're having fun by doing some sort of activation.
I like when people have their
game or something.
I like when people feel slightly uncomfortable and are laughing at themselves.
Yes.
That to me is always, if you can create that, you've created something special.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that people go back to the office and then tell the other people, you should have been at this thing.
Right.
That to me is always, I don't know how you measure that.
Yeah.
But that's always what I'm striving for. I want to see an event where I feel like the people who are there are going to go back and tell the people in their ecosystem, whether it be work, family, whatever, you should have been at this thing.
Yeah.
And I think if we're creating that, we're creating something really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Something that's just has that kind of environment and energy where you can almost like let loose and be free a little bit and be fun with it.
No, I totally agree. Like one of the real privileges of my job, especially within the events, is I get to be, you're doing all the work.
Yeah.
So thank you. But I get to be the host oftentimes. And I'm the one at the stage, waving my hands at the mic. And the best part of that job is I get to try to infuse some energy into it.
Yeah.
But the part that's best is I have the best seat at every event because I'm the one person who gets to be on a podium. Not that I'm the only one, but I'm the one who's guaranteed every event to be at the podium and get to stare at the whole room.
Yes.
And I get to see what's happening. And I get to see who's connecting and who's not. And I get to see who's bringing energy and those smiles you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I know then at that break, if I see a table that's not feeling it, I make a beeline for that table to make sure I'm putting some energy into that table.
Yeah.
But I see what you're talking about. And I totally agree with you. That notion of people smiling and connecting is such a gratifying thing to be able to create at a time that I feel like a lot of people, not to harp on the same point, I just feel like a lot of people are desperate for that connection. We have kids of similar ages and we see how digital their lives are.
Yeah.
Like it is really hard, I think, to create and really important, therefore, to create spaces where people feel like they can come together.
Yeah. And, COVID did a real number.
100%.
On everybody. And so it's, I think it's slow on the uptick, but more and more people now are like embracing the let's reconnect kind of aspect to it.
For sure.
Because everyone retreated and it kind of felt nice to have that pause and that reprieve and to continue retreating. But I think now everyone's like, oh, I think we need our human connection back.
For sure. I fear that there's a generation that won't know what they missed.
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about for again, when we said our kids' same age, we have 2 daughters that are the same age.
Yeah.
And I worry for their generation, they won't know what they missed. I think for folks like that of our age group and our elder kids' age group, they knew what the world was like before.
Right.
And so to your point, I think there's a point where like, this is nice, No one's talking to me. I
Yeah.
enjoy this. I'm getting caught up on all my Netflix.
Yeah.
But at some point, I like to see what sunlight looks like again and like actually meet a human being.
Yeah.
But I worry for those who are coming up at that stage where they don't even know what they're missing out on, that they won't recognize it. I think one of the things I think is really important for people like us who are you very directly, me indirectly, creating moments and spaces for people, that we find ways specifically to pull in these people who don't feel like they have a place there, or who haven't missed out, or haven't realized they have missed out, and find some of these younger audiences or some of these people who've been more marginalized in the past, and make sure they feel included in all this too. One of the things that you and I talk about that I think we have in common is this desire to create community.
Yes.
And so you've talked around sort of the event piece a lot, but I think what you're really describing is community. It's this thing you and I talk about all the time. How does community motivate you? What does your community look like? I know you have a few.
Yes. I have work community. I have outside of work community. I do a lot of volunteer work in my neighborhood. And it's just a matter of being able to bring people of all different walks of life and areas, and be able to show them that we can come together and learn all different things and have fun while doing it. Yeah. So
we'll talk a little bit more about that. So you say it in this little way, like you just called up like you're next to like the two people on either side of you, and so let's get together for a barbecue. I think it's a little bit bigger than this.
It is,
and I think it's worth noting that congratulations, you were recently recognized as a distinguished citizen in the town of Caledon for this community work you do.
I was trying to be humble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, humility doesn't suit you well. Just be the full Sonia. What is it that you've done? Because I think it's really important that people understand. Again, what I want people to recognize out of this is like how incredible, we hear it all the time, how incredible coming out to the Board of Trade is. And I just want people to understand what goes into this. What goes into is a lot of planning, as you've described, a lot of thoughtfulness, as you've described, a lot of detail attention, as you've described. But I also think there's something really unique about the person who drives it, and that's you. And that is because you're motivated by putting smiles on people's faces, making sure people are making connections, and that this is not just your job. Yeah. The reason you're really good at this is because it's who you are. Yeah. And I just want you to share a little bit about this, because I think it's a really important part of your story.
Yeah. So I do it outside of work.
And you can brag. And you can brag. It's okay. It's okay.
I live in a community called Valleywood, which is technically Caledon, but we straddle the border with Brampton.
Which is why you're allowed to work here. Otherwise,
you wouldn't want me.
Exactly.
So moving into the community, I found that it was just such a beautiful place to raise our kids. Everyone was very talkative and close-knit. The way the community was built, we have our own library, our own fire station. It's a central park with houses all around. But with that type of community, what ends up happening is people start to almost live in a bubble. Yeah. And our bubble extends past just this little section of Caledon. And so what I've always wanted to do was create community events for Valleywood and for the residents to be able to celebrate not only us as a community, but like the ecosystem around us. From like resources available to us, to small businesses that are available to us, and to what we provide for the surrounding communities as well. Yeah. So it started. And
by that, what you mean is the money you raise to support local charities and non-for-profits through the work you're doing. Through exactly. Yeah.
So we throw a big block party every summer, and then also some other smaller stuff throughout the year. But essentially, the block party specifically, it promotes a free event for families of Valleywood as well as surrounding areas to come together. We have entertainment. We have a kids zone. We also create an ecosystem for small local economy. So we have a vendors market, food trucks and food vendors. We celebrate the arts with artists and entertainers. And then we also include all of our community organizations, so that way they can raise their awareness for the community and the residents. And then we do a dunk tank fundraiser.
Where you get local politicians and celebrities, Yes.
where I have to strong arm a few people to get into the dunk tank, but always for a good cause. And we choose a different organization every year to support. So we've already supported Caledon Meals on Wheels, Casey's Place, Bethel Hospice. This year is Bright Start Family Centers in Caledon, which is an extension of the Early Years program.
It's amazing.
And so we raise funds through that to give back as well.
And just to reemphasize to anyone listening to this is all stuff you do in the 1 hour you have to yourself, because you already work 23 hours a day.
Yes.
This is the last hour you put into this as well. So this is not your job. This is a thing you do just to benefit your community.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's, when you tap into like why people do what they do, it's so much more interesting than what they do. And I love that for you, your why and the what are the same thing.
Yes.
And I think that's your superpower. And I think we in Brampton really get the benefit of that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And Caledon too with my community work.
Oh, I think they definitely get the benefit. They're hitting you awards. Like you're a distinguished citizen. Like do you get a giant key? Do you just like to park wherever you want? Like what's the perk?
No, I wish. But I know that my name is spoken many times in town hall.
Okay, that's nice. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I fear sometimes mine is too, but not in as positive a way. What you touched on though is something that I've been trying to figure out, and I'd love to talk for a minute about. Is and you talked about this initially, like this, like could we have like a big community party, this gala thing?
Yeah.
And there's this version of the Board of Trade that I see being that.
Yeah.
Because we don't have some things in Brampton. We don't have a giant organization that kind of brings the whole community together.
Yeah.
We don't have one organization that really champions the big things in our community. We have lots of great organizations.
Yeah.
I think our opportunity to really add value is to be the one place everyone can come.
Yeah.
So this notion of being that big party,
as
well as being that big advocate, as well as being that big fundraiser, I just want us to be the big fill in the blank.
Yeah.
I worry sometimes, and I wonder sometimes, not worry, I wonder sometimes, is it even possible to be that anymore in a community this big? And is Brampton already grown to the point where we can't, or what does the scale of that have to look like to really be inclusive in a place like Brampton?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much diversity.
Yeah.
Can one organization really capture it all? I happen to think we can. I just think it's really hard. But this is the problem I'm trying to solve. And as someone who's done it, like you talked a little bit in Valleywood, how do you make the bubble expand the bubble? I would love to hear your thoughts about that. Like, do you think we can expand the bubble here in Brampton big enough to capture enough of everybody?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think that it just needs to be a call made, and we need to orchestrate a way to hear and listen, and find out about all of the smaller organizations that are independently doing work, and establishing kind of a baseline of how we can raise awareness one time for all of them, and give everybody that space.
It's something, I love that you say it that way. So two things I love in that answer.
Yeah.
One, the idea that it's a big partnership thing.
Yeah.
And secondly, I love that your initial response was, how do we help the not-for-profit sector?
Yeah.
And because I agree with you 1,000% on this.
Yeah.
Because the notion I have in my head, I don't know if it makes any sense, and God forbid if someone's listening to this is like, oh, this is a terrible idea, we're going to yell at us later. I see a lot of really great organizations in our community, and I've been really lucky, and through Angel, my wife, we're really lucky to be on boards of a lot of organizations in our community. And we see everyone's kind of struggling with raising money, and raising funds, and raising awareness, in part because the needs are getting bigger and bigger, but also because the engagement's getting lower and lower.
Right.
And so the equation has been tipped now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's some opportunity. And so they're all struggling to raise money through their galas, and some are some really big organizations later this year whose galas we normally have in our calendar. I was talking to Angel on the weekend. We're scaling them back, or they're not going to do a gala this year because they just aren't getting the return on the investment.
Yeah.
And I wonder, excuse me, if there's an opportunity for an organization like ours to step in and say, you know what, we're going to have one gala, and it's going to be the charity fundraising gala for the community, and all 8 organizations, let's pull everybody's resources together, and we'll split. And I wonder if there's some math in there that says by doing so, everyone gets a little bit more, either because they're de-risking, they're not everyone's having to run 8 different galas.
Yeah.
Everyone who comes out spends a little bit more. The event is so much more interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
And those charities and non-for-profits all come away with at least as much, if not a little bit more, without having to put in nearly as much work.
Yeah.
And if that's a community service we could provide, is to say, we will throw the one big party,
Yeah.
but it's the party to help the non-for-profits
Yeah.
who are struggling right now to get their own events off the ground. And maybe we can really do something to move the needle in a really exciting way here in the community.
Yeah, I think like ultimately, like, you know, it's a big small world.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
Like, in the nonprofit world, we're all kind of like chasing the same resources.
Yeah.
We're all coming up with the same ideas.
Yeah.
So if we just pool them together as one, then everybody comes out ahead.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, so I think that's a great idea.
I wonder if there's something. Anyway, so now you said it's a great idea. That means I'm going to hold you to it. Yeah.
This is what happens. Throws an idea, and I'm like, I can make it work, and then it becomes actually a thing.
Yeah,
and
you are my worst enabler at the end of the day. This is the problem between us.
I know, and it's funny because, and I tell everybody all the time that like you're the idea guy, and I always start with no.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to do it.
My favorite part is that I think people think I have to convince you and wear you down. But I realize more often than not, I just say the idea and I leave it with you.
Yeah.
And then there's this part of your brain, because you're by nature a problem solver, that even if you hate the idea, you can't help but try to figure out how to do it, because you just have this thing in your brain where like, I have to figure out if it's possible.
Yeah.
And so 9 times out of 10, I'm able to convince you to do a thing that you don't want to do without even having to ask you to do it. I just raise the idea, and then out of just sheer spite, you figure out how to do it. And now we're doing something stupid that I suggested you didn't want to do in the first place, and then you kick ass at it. It's awesome.
And then sometimes I layer more onto it too.
You always
just
make it
for
better.
Like, you
well,
know,
you got to make it better. You got to show off a little bit. See, you like to brag. You like to brag. So this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to just, as we're starting to wrap up, a couple things. Quick questions. Your favorite event you've done so far and why you loved it, and your proudest moment doing an event. Does that have to be with the Board of Trade?
Yeah.
Just in general. I just want, again, give people some insight as to how you think about these things, what makes it work. What was your favorite event in general, and what was your favorite moment at an event, and what made it special for you?
Okay, so favorite event is the Inspire Gala.
Yeah.
For a couple things.
Yeah.
It's women inspired and women focused.
Yeah.
It also kind of is the event that allows me to really like run with it and shine. The first year you gave me the green light to just do whatever I wanted. No questions asked, which like,
and by the way,
what boss ever does that?
I say I've been here about 1.5 years, and they're like, and we're not getting into all 5 of them. I would say there are 5 really, really good decisions I've made since I've been here. Some of them relate to people we've brought onto the team. Right. Some of them been related to decisions I've made directionally. One of those 5 decisions, 1,000%. I'm not just saying because you're here on the thing. We're recording it now, so it's official. Yeah. One of the 5 best decisions I've made here was 2024 Inspire Her saying, you have the budget, I'm out of the way, you just show me what you want to do. Yeah. Because that's what unlocked everything else. Yeah. When I saw your potential and your drive. Yeah. When we didn't say, here's the event, here's the script, just go make it happen. And we gave you creative freedom. Yeah. So tell the story. I don't want to interrupt the story, but I just want to say one of the best decisions, because you gave me credit for letting you have the freedom. Yeah. One of the best decisions I made here in the 1.5 years I've been here is giving you the creative freedom on that event to see what an event in Brampton could actually look like. Yeah. And so that 2024 Inspire Her Gala, when you gave me like freedom to run with it, and I was able to see what I could pull off, gave me the motivation to just elevate that for 2025. And I'm really proud of myself of, one, what I was able to accomplish for 2024, but then what I was able to then accomplish for 2025. Which is bigger and more engaging. Bigger, more engaging, just visually and from an emotion aspect. I included different aspects with the speakers, with the award that in the way in which we presented it. Yeah. And then also too with engaging local female artists and giving them stage to take presence and show off their artistry. And so it's one of those events that I feel like with the creative freedom, I have the ability to really
kind of form it every year into something unique.
And I 1,000% agree. And I think one thing that's really amazing about that too, when we look at what are the proof points that tell us an event was successful? I think that's one of those ones where actually that's the only event I'm not at the podium to see the room. I'm an audience member for that one, but the tears, the emotion, the way people engage, like I cry in general, but I cry through the whole event. It's because it's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful to hear people's emotional stories and their truths being told. But the other part of it is that's the event where you see each of the years we've done it, the number of people post that event, like, how can I get involved?
Yes.
And in the organization in general, but specifically the number of female leaders in our community who after that event are like, we need a network. We need a community. And that event has now launched a network of women who meet. You have another meeting coming up next week.
Yes.
Of female leaders who want to get involved, who want to support each other. Like you have created, again, come back to the word we used before. You've created community out of that event, not just at that event. But there's something so powerful in that room that people are like, how can we get this all year round? And I mean it with sincerity. If you come to nothing else that Brampton Board of Trade does, come to that Inspire Her Gala. It's an incredible event.
And I've seen it throughout the year, the attendees from that event and the connections that they make. You can actually see that bond and the friendships.
100%.
As they come up to
I've seen
other
women
events.
who met at 2024 who I now see as friends a year later. And I'm like, oh, they met at our events.
Yes. So like seeing that journey too is really special.
That's awesome.
So I think that specific event for me carries a lot of weight in terms of like how proud I am of being able to bring that to Brampton.
And I did ask for a proud moment, but it sounds like, I think maybe the one answer is for the both questions. I said, what's your favorite event? And then you have a proudest moment. But is there a different question for proudest moment?
No, like that one feeds both.
I can see it.
Yeah, a proud moment,
You're pretty hard ass. I can see you actually emotional right now. That takes a lot.
Know.
That takes a lot.
Yes, I am quite hard ass. I actually make fun of Jaipaul when he gets emotional. I guess another one too is just, I guess from a career standpoint is obviously the brunch that we just did with Doug Ford. Of course, being able to put together an event for the Premier of Ontario is pretty special and pretty unique of an experience. But I think my takeaway from that was working with his team and the feedback that I got from his team. Because, you know, they are on tour and do like countless numbers of events, and the positive feedback that I received from them was really special too. So that kind of solidifies my skill set and what I have to offer. No,
I agree with that. Those are, I don't seek external validation. But sometimes you worry we're just in the Brampton echo chamber. And all we're comparing ourselves to are ourselves. So I like going to other people's events outside of our community to see what other people are doing. So we can benchmark. Sometimes we, borrow ideas as well. But also I do on occasion, not that I need the validation that we're good. I think we're good. But it's nice to know where we stand relative to others. And it was really it was a proud moment for me, certainly, when folks from the Premier's office gave us the feedback on our event relative to your point. They're all over, the province, sometimes the country, going to things, and to hear how well they thought that came together and how much they enjoyed working with us. It did feel like something special to like, okay, we are in the class that we think what we're in. We're not just reading our own PR and patting ourselves on the back.
Absolutely. And in like a day and age that we're in where it's so easy for people to be negative and provide like negative feedback, it actually costs them more to give the positive feedback. So to hear it, it's nice.
That's awesome. And that was a fun event because you did some special stuff there too. It wasn't just how well it was run and executed. We did some goofy stuff to make some sponsors feel special. We did make some neat moments for the attendees to have some unique experiences there.
And that's always fun too, right? Because in the corporate world, when you think of sponsors and sponsorships, you just think of like logos and different sizes and formats and labels. And you don't really realize of the activations and like the in-event experience that you can create side by side with your with your sponsor. So that was a lot of fun to be able to work on some zany ideas.
And for those who didn't have the opportunity to attend the event, we did some fun stuff in that. One of our sponsors was Maple Lodge Farms, and we made some special moments happen with their CEO in the premiere where they brought an Airstreamer and we were able to bring some food and showcase some of their product and send every attendee home with an opportunity to try some food that was a new product they were bringing to market.
Yep.
Another one of our sponsors was Coke, and we did some fun stuff in a Pepsi facility to bring their brand to life and make a little moment happen from the stage that got everyone to engage with their product and have a fun, memorable thing that we found that the higher ups at Coke heard about and were really happy about as well. And so we love doing stuff like that. You talked about our Inspire Her Gala. We build that event around an award that is really important to a really dear member of ours. And in as part of their sponsorship, we work really closely with their team to not just create a great event for everyone who's there, but within the event, something really special for a really important leader historically in our community. So you've done a great job of like working these things in. And so maybe as the last question I'll ask you, we do some great stuff. You talked a little bit about how internally we generate ideas. If someone was listening to this and was a member, was a sponsor, was a business, someone in the community, and they had an idea for an event or an idea within an event to make something crazy happen, how do they get in touch with you? How do they make this happen? How do we create more amazing energy? How do we create more community around Brampton Board of Trade events through the work that you're doing?
Well, I'm always all ears. So best way would be to send me an email at sdalimonte@brampton.
Josh will post it up. Don't worry. It'll all be tagged. It'll be on the screen. He knows what he's doing.
But yeah, I'm all ears. I'm always looking for ideas that we can work in that would work well. One in particular, we're going to be doing a little bit of a rebrand on our networking series come January 2026. So in the coming weeks and months, we're going to actually be doing a call out to members looking for anyone who'd like to host our networking series and not only just host the event itself, but like let's think of ways in that we can activate and make the events really fun for that networking bit of it. So so definitely send me an email.
No, and we're definitely open to ideas. We talked a little bit about the sponsorship thing. We have events through the course of the year where based on who's hosting, we organize tours. We have events through the year that we have one that we hope to be announcing probably the next couple of weeks. We're dramatically expanding a traditional Brampton Board of Trade event around the partnership with another organization to blow it into something much, much larger, to basically fold an event that they're thinking into an event that we're already doing and creating something like we've never taken on something this audacious. And I know we can't announce it just yet, but when we get to announce this will be the biggest thing I think we've ever undertaken here as an organization.
And I'm excited because I have a ton of ideas.
I know. And maybe that's a great teaser / ominous note to end this on. I know that you were hesitant to sit down and do a podcast with us, but I thought this went really, really great. And I appreciate you opening up and sharing what motivates you, because I think it's really important that people understand greatness doesn't just happen because people work hard. It happens when they bring their purpose and their passion and their full selves to work and feel they're in an environment that supports their creativity. And I really appreciate, because people see the results of your work. I want them to know where it comes from. And I really appreciate you taking a minute to share that with us.
Thank you. It's passion, always from the heart.
100%. No, if nothing else, I know I'm getting authentic Sonia 100% of the time. There is no other version of you. I think you turn down the volume on occasion. I have never doubted at any point. I'm always talking to 100% authentic Sonia all the time.
And it's usually like dialed up and very loud.
I said dialed down. It's usually at 11. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Sonia, for making the time to sit in with us. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks once again. Oh, and before I forget, thank you once again to our amazing sponsors, the Brampton Honey Badgers. They have 3 games left in their season. Make sure you get out and take in the game when you can. And we'll be back very soon. Thanks very much.